Over the last 5 years, I've built a lot of different stuff here in my Forever World, but there's one thing that I love building most of all, and that's castles. I've built them underground, on cliffs, and even in the sky. But what if I told you that I hated them all? Well, hate's a strong word. Let me try and explain. Though I built this castle about 5 years ago now, and this one about 2 years ago. I also built this one, and yeah, even this one. I think I've learned a lot over the last few years, and now it's time to take all that learning and bottle it up into one epic build. And that will be my dream castle. So let's jump right into it. A mega project like this is going to need a lot of blocks, and that's why I built this shrine/map room in the last episode. The Dream Castle is basically so big that I had to make some huge farms and stuff to fund the project. But more on that later. Anyway, in the last episode, I mentioned how much I loved these mountains in the distance of the shrine, and today we're going to be using them as a base foundation for our Dream Castle. I've been cooking up a giant build that puts literally every other castle I've made ever to shame. But before I show you that, let me take you on a small tour behind the scenes to show you everything it took to get to this point, because it took absolutely forever. I don't think it's a very big secret that most builders know. To build something like this, you first must gather the blocks. And ladies and gentlemen, this next project is so absolutely ridiculously big, like I mentioned, that I needed to collect a lot of blocks. So I spent the last few days building all of this. Welcome to Giga Farm Basement Town. Now, I know I always end up underground. Even when I build a mountain, I live underneath it. But that's gonna change by the end of this video, hopefully. Anyways, what did I make here? What is this monstrosity? Well, my good friend Wolgamir helped me set up some big old farms. 2, actually. Well, 3 technically, if you really want to get into it. So basically, this over here is a moss farm and a pale moss farm. And it's very complicated. I don't know how it works. Could not explain it to you. But there's moss, and there's pale moss, and there's timers and water and all of that, and it turns into bone blocks. And these bone blocks, once these chests are filled, feed into this dropper, which feeds into this auto crafter, which goes into this water channel and into a tree farm. That is right, I have built a tree farm, which is kind of insane. I never thought I'd build stuff like this, and I'm kind of like against it in a general sense, but in this case, I really needed it. We're gonna need about like 100,000 moss, so I needed a way to get some for free. And oak wood too. It actually comes up here, and you can see I've been collecting a silly amount of it at this point, and a lot of moss and pale moss and everything as well. We got our on and off switches, and it's amazing, and I love it. Now, I know what you're saying. Eco, you're building a castle. Why do you need all this moss? Well, my dear viewer, it is because I am building probably the biggest mountain I've ever seen in the game underneath it. So to get started, the first thing that I had to do was mow down a forest. That way, we'd have a little bit more room to work with around the mountain. Once that was done, I started to lay out the foundation of the mountain, then the wireframe, and then I had to place the blocks, one at a time, for hours. Yeah, this is gonna take a while, so why don't I tell you about my epic plans for the castle while I wrap this up. If you've been a viewer for a while, it's no secret that I absolutely love castles. Maybe it's because I love history, or maybe I just like the imposing nature of a big old Minecraft castle on a hill. If you're a Canadian history fan, you might have already heard of Quebec City. Founded in 1608, it's safe to call it Canada's oldest city. And in this city, there are many beautiful, inspiring streets with big old stones and old buildings, which are all absolutely shadowed by the Chateau Frontenac, a gigantic luxury hotel, which actually I've been kicked out of. But more on that later. Using the Chateau Frontenac as a reference was really cool because I've actually been there, and there are a few key elements I really wanted to keep because they really struck out to me. So what I did is I basically created a bunch of little sections of the castle, and then I put them on the hill and I stacked them together and mixed them up until I had a shape and silhouette that I really liked. Then I had to pick some colors, which is hard for me because I'm kind of colorblind. At first, I wanted to use stone and stuff because I'm cheap and I already had a bunch of stone, but it didn't have the contrast that I was looking for on the mountain. They kind of just blended together. And then I thought about mud bricks, which are literally so expensive, it would take me days to grind out the blocks. But what the heck? This is my dream castle after all. Once I had the bricks laid out, I wanted to have a gradient on the bottom to kind of blend it into the mountain, and guess which block goes really well with mud bricks? It's mangrove, the most annoying wood to collect in Minecraft. But on the bright side here, I have completed the mountain, and this was a pretty incredible grind, I gotta say. When I built it in creative mode, I was like, oh yeah, this will take like a day. But no, it took about a week total and 2 full-time days of placing. An entire weekend burned to build a big stupid mountain with big holes in it. But don't worry, we'll fill those up later. And before you ask, I did do the back, the whole thing. That's right, because this area is going to be 360 visible. We're not doing any of that facade stuff like my end portal. Now let me show you inside, because inside is actually kind of trippy. I've also built a farm. This is a mangrove farm, and it's really awesome. I'll put the creator of the farm in the top right corner because I don't remember his name right now. It's very early. I just woke up and I wanted to record a little bit before I get back to the grind. But basically, it's pretty simple. You stand in the standing spot and you grow mangrove. They blow up and they go into the chests. It's epic. And this is a great way of getting the mangrove wood because we're going to need an absolute metric buttload of it for this build. The idea is basically I want to have like a bunch of farms inside the mountain here. That way we can kind of condense our lag into one spot in this project. I dare say this has become a mega build, I think. Maybe it already was and I was in denial, but this mountain is like 200,000 something blocks already, and we haven't even built the castle, which is also pretty big and imposing. Anyway, I don't exactly have enough blocks yet to finish the castle, but I've literally spent the last like week or so gathering blocks, so I wanted to kind of change it up, record a little bit, and maybe make some headway on the build because we still have a long ways to go here. So I thought I would start with the gatehouse slash entrance. I have some really big ideas for later, so I wanted to have a really big door as the entrance, but I'll get more into that in a future video. And what was a quick cut for you took me a couple of hours, but I am super happy with it. Full disclosure here, I'm using a new shader called Photon for this castle because it really does well, I find, with the brick and everything. But I haven't figured out the clouds, so it looks a little bit funky, but it looks really cool from far away. You can see the trees and everything. I'm trying to like switch up my visual style in my videos, not only the editing, but how the videos look. So anyway, just a little test run here with that shader. I'll turn them off for now though. You can see how close we are, actually. I didn't realize till now. But yeah, so I have built the gatehouse. Over here is going to be the door. It's pretty big when you look up. Feels really massive, and don't worry, we are going to be deleting actually a lot of this mountain because the idea in the future is this is going to be my new mega base. Let me know in the comments, does this count as a mega base? Is it big enough? Are you not entertained? Well, since that last clip, it's been about another 5 days, and I've been grinding away at every single angle to get this build done. Guys, I cannot stress how insane this was for me to build so far. I do have a full-time job and a life outside of Minecraft and YouTube, so if you wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the video so far, it really helps the channel. So you might have just wondered when you watch the clip of the camera going from over there and then it comes to over here, you might be telling yourself, well, Eco, it's not that big. This place isn't that big. So I thought I'd give you a little tour, an in-person tour, a first-person tour of what I've done so far, because in my brain, this is probably one of the bigger things I've ever made. And like, I know I say that every video, but it's because I have a philosophy that every video I want to get better. So theoretically, every single video, the builds get bigger and better, and so does the editing, hopefully. That is the most time-consuming thing, but I love it. Anyways, so I already showed you guys this part, right, with the door and everything. It's very big, very grand. Now, look how freaking big and how much room we have to decorate in here. And eventually, maybe not today, but this castle will be fully furnished. Oh, that's not good. fully furnished and fully decorated out. So if you guys have any ideas for rooms or places that should be in here, places, I mean like, you know, designs, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'll make a big old list in a book and we'll just like run through them maybe on live stream or something, if ever I stream again. Well, since that last clip, I did the classic build a bunch and not recorded, so I grinded out a bunch of the castle off camera, and we're getting close to finishing phase 2, which was the castle, but there's still something missing. We need that one big wow piece in the middle to really give the castle a unique silhouette. And I think I know just the thing. This castle has been through so many variations, which I'll show you in my creative world in a minute here, but one thing has remained constant through every single variation, and that is the fact that I wanted to have a big clock tower. So I hit my little record button on the montage mod that I use in Minecraft, and I get building, and everything's going super great, and I'm really excited until I run out of mud. Again. But unfortunately for me, this time it wasn't just mud. I kind of realized that my dirt stocks are getting pretty freaking low, and if I don't get this thing done quick, I'm gonna be completely out of dirt in my world. And I'm not even sure that I could make a dirt farm, so I'm kind of getting nervous here. Well, I did it. I finished the castle. Ladies and gentlemen, like, I can't even begin to describe what a monumentous achievement this is for me. This was a really big build. As I fly over here, I'm gonna animate some cool effects showing you exactly how much this thing cost me in materials. It'll blow your mind, so leave a like if you haven't already, if I haven't begged enough. Hopefully this is like the last straw. But anyways, so the castle shell is done. The front and the back. I really outdid myself this time. I finished it. I actually did it. The whole back is full. Now, we are missing one thing, and that's the decoration for this thing here, this big window clock thing. I have it laid out. I know what I want, but I can't do it yet because I'm waiting for the copper to oxidize. So on the side here, I have all my copper, and I'm just waiting. But when we go inside here, you start to get an idea of how massive this is. I can literally fly around with multiple rockets and not hit any walls, which is pretty cool. Now, we'll have a lot of room for later, and it is very exciting for me. I did move my stuff up here just because this is a nicer view, and it's safe from mobs. So, you might be asking yourself, what is next? Because this video is kind of short, Eco. Well, I have a lot more planned, so definitely stick around. What's that? Oh, crafting table. This mountain doesn't look the best right now. I think we can all agree it kind of stands out like a sore thumb compared to this thing. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So, what could we do to fix that? Could we build more castles, more mountains? Sure, later. I'm super burnt out. What do we do? Well, we build a forest. We have a lot of room, and I have tree farms now, so we're gonna build the most mega forest ever seen. I was gonna say on YouTube, but that's probably not true. On this channel. Anyway, let's jump into it. And by the way, if you want the world today and you want this castle now, you can get it through the YouTube members section. The download is free once a year, but after every single upload, the members get access to a download, and it's a great way to help me and support the channel. Thank you. Well, it's not looking like much of a forest yet, is it? But we do have some trees. You can see I'll scooch out of the way here. We can take a look. So what I've done so far is kind of just lay out the first few trees. And by first few, I mean like first dozen, which actually takes a very long time to make these trees. But yeah, I put out a dozen trees or so, just kind of sporadically around the mountain. That way, we can just kind of fill in around those, and hopefully it'll kind of look like a forest with clearings and spaces. And if we get a little bit closer here, I'll show you guys. I've also set up a path and a few other things that I want to get lined up before we spam too many trees. So down here, we're gonna have a little gatehouse, a little house for boats and stuff like that. Actually, yeah, not a gatehouse, a boathouse. Just by the water here, that way we can boat in, and there's a nice little dock to greet us. And over here, we're gonna have the path going up and around, because eventually we're gonna have a bunch of stuff back here, and on the adjacent islands. This area is super duper cool, and there's a lot of really neat stuff we're gonna be able to do. And if I turn off the shaders here, maybe we'll get a better view, because sometimes that bloom really gets it. But all these trees are pretty simple, and the way that I built this forest is I basically went into a creative world and I created a bunch of different trees, and now I'm just using some tools to spam them around and make a fully fleshed out forest. And while we're here, why don't I take this time to show you my absolute insanity, because you might have noticed that this video took me over 2 months to make. So how about I fly around and I show you guys the absolute journey that I went through. So you might notice there's quite a few castles here, and I'll try to go through them all one by one, and that way, like really quickly, so that way you get an idea. This is the final product. So this is the mountain, and this is the trees, right? This is what we have, and then this is the version in our world. So here's a copy paste that I fudged up. I messed it up, but this one over here is good. This is what we're leaning towards. Now, if I go over here, you can see castle variation number 1, castle variation number 2. This is the final one, and that's when I added the trees. Now all the parts are floating around here. You can see it used to be stone, but I thought the stone kind of blended in a little bit too much. This is another variation, and then I built this one as well. This one's all stone. Doesn't look as cool, does it? Now up here is one of the first versions with the black roof and the weird kind of window. Didn't really like the architecture, wasn't looking too good. Now if we go over here, there's an even different one. And more and more and more. Here's where I've been filming some stuff in my little blue box for the intro. Whoops, for the intro and stuff, you can see over there. And this is actually the very first castle that I made for this project. I thought this was gonna be the build, and you know what happened? I put it into the world, and I was like, man, this is not the same caliber as the temple that we built last time. I don't really like it. So I took pieces of it, I kind of recycled parts and bits, and I built all those other variations. Now, I think this is something that, like, I want to discuss. Oh, hey, there's the other stuff. I have been using creative a lot lately to build these things, and I partially feel like you kind of have to if you want to make something big and impressive. It's really hard to do it one try in survival, and I feel like when you watch YouTube, maybe you don't realize how much effort, at least I didn't before I started making videos, how much absolute effort goes into making something like this. A lot of different trial and errors. You gotta be kind of willing to delete what you did, right? You gotta be willing to build something and say, you know what, that's not it, and then iterate on it. Oh my gosh, keep opening that. Iterating on it, and then iterating on it again, and again, and again, and again. I think that's a really big part of art in general, and Minecraft is no different. So anyways, let's jump back into the video, and hopefully we'll have our spot looking a little bit better in survival, because right now it looks good in creative, but survival is where the magic's at. Hey everyone, before we get back to the video, I am super happy to announce that I have partnered with Apex Gaming PCs. They have a line of custom computers designed for gaming as well as content creation. In particular, I want to take a second and talk about the Apex Streamer, which has a Ryzen 5 7600X, 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, and an RTX 4060 Ti, not to mention all the cool RGB that you can customize in the purchasing options. If you're in the market for a new PC, definitely go check them out. The link is in the description. Don't forget to use my 10% discount code ECOLIO. Well, this is a little bit of a predicament. So I'm building my forest here, and it's going well, everything's doing good, and the trees are going up, and then I'm like, oh, it's nighttime. Time to go sleep. up there in the clock tower, where my bed is, and then I realized, oh, my elytra broke. That is most unfortunate. Now, the issue is I have not yet established a way to get up there, I don't think. So we have like this path, right? And you might remember my stuff was like on the side of the hill over here, but I don't think there's actually a legitimate way to get in without elytra right now, because it's like hundreds of blocks in the air and there's no staircase or anything. So I'm just curious. I thought, oh, let's hit the old record button and try to head up there and see maybe we can get in with a little parkour. And by the way, this copper has been oxidizing for, in real life, like 3 days. This is nuts. Very slow, but I don't want to build the thing until I have the green copper so that we get the real look right away. But we're gonna be waiting a while, I think. Okay, first barrier, this thing. And I really can't wait until we're done the inside here. It's gonna be really nice to have a smooth interior with no mountain, no holes in the ground. I probably could have saved a lot of time not building this mountain. That's where we're going. Okay, I think we can make it, actually, if I just keep hopping on up. And while we're hopping up here, I thought I'd just share the short story of how me got kicked out of the Chateau Frontenac a few years ago. Basically, okay, it's a really nice hotel, and it's like kind of locked off, but there's doors where you can kind of get in past the lobby. There's like a Starbucks on the side or something, and I went through there, and people were like coming out of the locked doors, so I just like snuck in with the passing group, because I really wanted to see the inside of the hotel, because it's really fancy and stuff. And anyway, I was in there, I was walking around, you know, and I bump into a group of tourists, and it's basically they're giving a tour of the castle. So I was like, oh, nice, I'll join that and, you know, learn a little bit of history and see some cool paintings and whatever, and cool architecture and maybe some hidden secrets. So I joined the group. I kind of like sneak into the back of the crowd, and as soon as I do, the old lady giving the tour like snaps and looks at me, and she's like, "You're not in this group." And I was kind of like, yeah, I just got here late. She's like, "Oh, really? What's her name?" And then she looks at her list, and I'm not there. And then she asks me my room number and all this stuff, and I'm like, at this point, I'm in too deep, and I just start saying random crap to her. And then, long story short, they politely asked me to leave and not come back. And we are back. Holy smokes. Okay, I also wanted to take a second and show you. I got the star mod. I think this looks really, really cool. Right now I'm just playing without shaders because I'm building trees and it's annoying. But yeah, it looks really neat with our boat and everything. We're definitely going to add a lot more life into the water here later. Obviously, I can't do it all in one video, or I would never upload. And also, one last little thing before we get back to showing you some progress, I just wanted to show you guys that I did the portal. So now the portal links to my nether, which is super laggy. Whoa, okay, frame drops. And I just decorated it really quick. That way I know what it is. I like to do that for some of them, just so that I know, because otherwise I get kind of confused. There's a lot of portals. Lots and lots of portals. Well, I think barring the big old window here, which we're going to do in a minute, I think it's done. I built the whole forest. And by the way, this took an incredible amount of time, a lot more than I thought it was going to take, but I'm so happy. I built the path here. I'll overlay a little clip of me building that. That didn't take too long. I did use some Axiom brushes to make it, so once I got into the world, it was a simple matter of holding click with the Easy Place and Lightmatica, which for stuff like this, I mean, it just makes it so much faster, and the randomization is so much better. Now, when I look around, you can see we're really inside the forest, which is such a vibe with the castle poking through ever so often. I'm really happy with it. Let me know what you guys think of it so far. Obviously, we got a little bit more to do here, but this is the final look and feel with all the trees and everything. And the trees will keep going eventually because we're going to keep this forest going. So stick around because I'm having a lot of fun with these new projects. With this here, that's a screenshot. And of course, the castle over here. There's so much potential for this area. And I hope that you're excited as I am for the future of what this area will hold. But for now, I think we can call it pretty much done. Now, I'm gonna sit around and wait for this copper and finally show you guys that cool window that I've been hyping up. Okay, so that copper is not going anywhere, so instead I'm gonna go steal it from a build I like a little bit less. And there we go, the final piece of the puzzle here for this build. The castle is complete, sort of, if you don't look inside. Don't look inside, download the map, look at the outside. The inside's coming soon, but let me know what you guys think. I absolutely loved making this. This is probably one of the biggest projects I've ever made, and honestly, I'm really proud of it. I hope that in a year, I still like it. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it a million. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell and whatever. And thank you so much to our channel members. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys soon. It won't be 2 months this time, I promise. I'll make a video real quick. Anyways, until next time. Mwah.